we had the choice of whether we were celebrating Shabbat Shirah, the musical Shabbat, or Tu B'Shvat, and the planting of new trees. This year we'll do the music, next year we'll plant some trees. How's that? All right. We can alternate. We'll talk a little bit more about Shabbat Shirah in a few minutes. We have a number of YouTubes as well as some new music we wanted to introduce you to this evening. Again, in honor of Shabbat Shirah and some of the newer composers of Jewish liturgical music, assuming that the YouTube works correctly, I trust Ruth Ann, and assuming that my voice holds out, and Marlis is going to be helping with some of that as well. The introductory song is one of the traditional psalms and hymns that welcomes Shabbat in what's called Kabbalat Shabbat, the beginning of the Shabbat evening service. You can follow along the words. It's a different interpretation. This is composed, sung by Rabbi Josh Warshawski and some of his colleagues. It's a different kind of approach to the music. I hope that you'll enjoy it. The text is on, and now we also have to do this as well, because there are some people at home who are following along in the larger edition, the larger version of the prayer book. Those in the sanctuary, and if you have the Shabbat version of Mishkan Tefillah, we're on page 12. And if you are at home, you're on page 130, if you have the larger edition.
Start with the announcements.
No, we're going to do the music first. Trust me.
Yeah, but I'm not set up.
Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. Marlis, if you will, with your announcements. Oh, you're with the, come on.
I'll share.
You took the larger book, so you have to listen to the second number, page numbers.
Shabbos, everyone, and welcome to the Shalom Bible Center. Good,
You got swallowed.
I have to swallow it, okay. Well, welcome to the Temple of Shalom. And I am Marla Spinnerman, and I am the secretary on the board, and I'm not sure what that means, except I'm supposed to take notes or get chairman reports. So if you're a chairman, you have to give me a report on whatever.
But not tonight.
Please turn off your cell phone or put it on vibrate mode. And if you have one of these, put that on silent as well. I tend to not put my watch on silent. Restrooms are located in the back. There are fire extinguishers located at the rear exit door and the kitchen. The AED defibrillator is behind you on the wall next to the prayer bookshelves. First aid and blood control kits are clearly marked and located on the bima and in the kitchen and in the library. The front double doors which you entered through are also the normal exit doors. All others are clearly marked exit doors and are for emergency exits only. One there and closing one there. If the power goes out, the emergency lighting should immediately turn on. For your safety, you will receive further instructions from our temple leadership. In the event of a potentially threatening situation, you may be directed to move into our kitchen to the rear. It may serve as our safe room in certain emergency situations. The main entrance doors will be locked once services begin. If you need to leave after the service has begun, please see the security person near the foyer doors, which is Mike back there.
And Jane.
And Jane. And they will let you out and bring you back in. Is anyone new? No one new. Well, who's talking standard book? Now, so a few announcements. The Men's Club is having a Romeo and Juliet dinner on February 14th here at the Temple Center. It starts at 5 to 5:30 with Michael G. on the piano. And the rabbi will be leading a celebratory ceremony for those wishing to reaffirm their commitment or vows to each other. There is Torah study tomorrow. There's a bagel breakfast on Sunday, 9:30. Michael G. will play. Saturday AM next week are services. And I think that's it.
Okay. And then we'll continue with our ritual to light and bless the Shabbat candles. Bobby, if you will, at pages 2 and 3 in the prayer book, or page 120 in the larger version. This is going to rub up against here. Page 9 in the sanctuary, which is page 127 in the larger version. We'll get used to doing it this way. We continue responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves. We measure failure by what we do not gain. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. So we embrace the Shabbat as a day of rest, a day of wonder, and a day of peace. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat. May it unite us in faith and hope. For Shabbat holiness, in the sanctuary, pages 20 and 21, Lecha Dodi. In the larger version, it's 138 and 139. This is an interpretation of Lecha Dodi that was composed by Cantor Meir Rothenberg, who admits that he stole the melody from Phantom of the Opera. La 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 Lecha Dodi, la 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat Nekabel, la 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 Lecha Dodi, la 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela, Shamor v'Zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litilah, Yalala, alalala, Lecha Dodi, alalala, Likrat Kala, alalala, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. You try it. Alalala, Lecha Dodi, alalala, Likrat Kala, alalala, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela, Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'nelcha, Ki mikol habracha, Meirosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machshava techila, Yalala, alalala, Lecha Dodi, alalala, Likrat Kala, alalala, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Verse 5, Hit'oreri, Hit'oreri, Ki ba'orech Umi Uri, 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 Shir Daveri, Kevod Adonai, Alayich Nigla, Yalala, Alalala, Lecha Dodi, Alalala, Likrat Kala, Alalala, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Verse 9, the last verse. Our tradition is to face the door. Go'i v'shalom, Ateret bala, Gam b'simcha, Utsala Toch Emune Am Sigula Oi Chala Oi Chala Halala Halala Chadodi Halala Likrat Kala Halala Penei Shabbat Penei Shabbat Nekanela Lala Chadodi Halala Likrat Kala Halala Penei Shabbat Penei Shabbat Nekanela. Please remain standing. We continue in the sanctuary, page 26. At home, it's page 144 in the larger book. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei ravam v'yamad ibrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayeichon u'v'yomeichon u'v'chayeichon beit Yisrael b'hagala b'hagala u'v'zman karim v'yimeru amen Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach Le'olam olom le'yomaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach Yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei kudshav b'richu Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'yama V'yimeru Amen. Turning the page. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. May be seated. Marlis, we're with Ahavat Olam. Page 32 in the sanctuary, 150 in the larger version. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha Amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachmeinu, u'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha. V'nishmach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu u'vahem negei yomam v'layla negei yomam v'layla V'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael. Cantor Doug Kotler of Calabasas, California, gave us this interpretation that leads us into the Shema.
I'm rusty. I haven't done this in a while.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your mind. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can nights we've prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. You will when you believe. In this time of fear, when prayers so often proved in vain, hope seemed like the summer birds too swiftly flown away. Yet now I'm standing here with heart so full I can't explain, seeking faith and speaking words I never thought I'd say. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. It's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe. Somehow you will. You will when you believe. לשלום, לשלום, השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום. ועמידנו מלכנו לחיים ולשלום ולשלום, השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, ושמור צאתנו ורואינו לחיים ושלום ואתה ואדם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, עלינו סוכת שלומך, השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום. Elohai Nitzor Shonim Mira Usfatayim Miraber Mirma Tzedim Kalelai Nafshi Tidom V'nafshi Ke'afar Lakor Tihye Elohai 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 Nitzor Shonim Mira Usfatayim Miraber Mirma Tzedim Kalelai Nafshi Tidom V'nafshi Ke'afar Lakor Tihye Elohai
with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us sing. Amen. You can just stay up if you want. It won't be long until we get to the other one. Okay. All right. So, Shabbat Shirah, and I wanted to add these few comments. I mentioned earlier that we will be returning to one of the intermediate blessings in the Tefillah, the Amidah, the Shemona Esrei. So if you want to turn to, in the sanctuary, it's pages 56, 57. At home, it's 174, 75 if you have the larger version. 56 or 57. This is the first of the last three of the benedictions in what have come to be known as the Shemona Esrei, which means the 18 blessings, but there's never 18, at least not in the last almost 1,000 years. There's either been 7 or 19, depending on which day of the week and holiday, Shabbat, and whatever. But the Ritzei prayer of may God accept our worship, always is the first of the last 3, no matter how many have preceded it. And it's called the prayer, the scholars refer to it as the Avodah prayer, the prayer that specifically signifies worship. But here we need to look at what it means to be praying in our day as well as in the days that the temple was in existence in Jerusalem, the first and the second temple, where the prayer really was offering sacrifices. But once the temple, first and second temple, had been destroyed, we couldn't offer the sacrifices anymore. So what would replace it? There are some of the rabbis who said, well, the Gemilut Chasadim, the deeds of goodness, deeds of loving kindness, that shall replace the worship. Others who said, no, study will replace, Torah will replace worship in our acknowledging God. And then there were those who said, no, it should be prayer, but prayer not in the sense that we know it. Prayer in the sense, believe it or not, that was, whether it's with guitar, whether it's with lyre, whether it's with piano, keyboard, or even if you saw in the background there at the conservative synagogue on Shabbat, if you saw a big, deep bass, right? Okay. So as the generations of Jewish history have reinterpreted what it means to offer prayer musically, because according to the rabbis, God is most pleased and most susceptible to accepting our worship when the sound of music fills the sanctuary. Okay? So you thought Ruth Ann was just helping you by raising the volume tonight? No. She's fulfilling the dictum of the rabbis that God needs to hear the sound of music in the entire sanctuary. As a matter of fact, there's one rabbi who interprets it that says, you know, we can't let the music get too loud because then there won't be any space for the people. Okay? If the people won't want to stay. Anyway, so I thought it appropriate to mention about this particular prayer, or what we now have in our prayer book, and our doesn't mean just in the 21st century. By this I'm talking about the last 1,000 to 1,300 years. How do we know that God is near to us? The words are there. We ask God to accept our prayers in love. May God always be near to all who call. That's a play on the Hebrew word to be karov. The Hebrew word to be karov means to be near, but it's also the same word to offer sacrifice. So again, we had to change the interpretation, the translation, from offer sacrifices to just being near, being close. So how do we know that God is close, that God is near? Again, the rabbis tell us when the sound of music, no, we're not getting into Julie Edwards. When the sound of music fills the sanctuary. So with that background, we're going to have two songs. The first is Cantor Benji Ellen Schiller's interpretation of this particular prayer. So you can follow, excuse me, you can follow along the Hebrew words there in the prayer book of Cantor Benji Ellen Schiller's interpretation. It's being sung by a group of cantors and rabbis, of which Cantor Schiller is one, and her husband, another cantor, and her husband who's a rabbi. Yeah, they're all friends of mine, but that's besides the point. I didn't inspire them. But they call themselves Beged Kefet, which those of you who are going to take the introductory Hebrew class, I can explain what Beged Kefet means. But this is their beautiful interpretation of this Ritzei prayer that becomes the focal point of our Shabbat Shirah this year. And then if you would please turn in the prayer book, in the sanctuary, the smaller version, it's page 331. In the larger version, it's 635, 331, or 635. Psalm 126 wishes all Shabbat Shalom. And then the English, as you can see, a song of ascents. The When Adonai returns the exiles of Zion, we will be like dreamers. And then our mouths will fill with laughter and our tongues with joy. Then it will be said among the nations, Adonai has done great things for them. Shirah Ma'alot is a song of ascents. This is one of the psalms that the Levites and the priests would sing, not this melody, but that the Levites and the priests would sing as they ascended, as they went up step by step onto the Temple Mount to bring the sacrifices and to worship and to serve God. But again, the words imply more than just worship and service. The words imply that this should be done ulashonenu rina, and on our tongues shall there be joy, and there shall be fulfillment, and there should be happiness. So, in order for that to happen on Shabbat Shirah, Marvis is going to help, okay? In order for that to happen, you have to help sing. Okay? So I'll give you the easy parts, and I'll do the difficult part. Okay? So if you see in the middle of the page, what I say, 331 or 635. The words are easy enough. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Goes up and down the scale. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Once more. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. The other part, for those who wish to go, their voices go down. Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. Once more. Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. The high part. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Or the low part. Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. You can keep on with that if you'd like. Shonenu Rina. Az Yamru Va'agoyim Higdil Adonai Lasot Nimele. Last time. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ulshonenu Rina. On our tongues there was joy and song. Thank you. We'll continue with our prayers of Aleinu, and then memorial prayers of Kaddish. Page 282 in the prayer book in the smaller version, here in the sanctuary, 282, and the following pages at home with a larger version, 586. Against the ark will be open. I invite you to please rise if you're comfortable and join me in chanting. Aleinu l'shabbat v'ladonu nako, l'ateit v'lo yetzer reshit, shelo l'san k'goye aratzot, v'lo samayim k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sachtateinu ka'em, v'gor aleinu k'chol amonam, v'anachnu kori, u'mishpachtim u'odim, l'ifnei melech, Malchei Hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Next page. Shehu notech shamayim v'yosei haaretz, Moshe v'karov hashamayim b'marav, U'shkinatu zo, v'gorei me'roni, Ru Eloheinu, Ehel Malkeinu, Karatu v'zorato v'yadata hayom hashemota elevamecha ki Adonai hu Elohim v'shamayim imam v'al haaretz mitachat eino. 287 or 591. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Please be seated. Page 291 or 595 in the larger version. 291 or 595. It is hard for us to sing with joy and sing of oneness, for our world is not complete. Those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing now leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved, cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words. What they did is part of what we have become. So we do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the very shadow of our loss. Each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming that one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life does find its purpose. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth. We remember our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost. The martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, they died al Kiddush Hashem in the sanctification of God's name. Victims of natural disasters and victims of senseless acts of hatred, racism, terrorism, and persecution around the world. Those who have given their lives in the service of forces of decency and democracy, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a true blessing to humanity. We remember them. We meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. As a community and congregation, we think of loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. We honor the memory of Joe Feinstein, and we think of those who died at this season in years past, as well as those, the anniversary of whose death we mark during this season, and those who have gone to their eternal home during this past year. We honor the memories of Celia Abramson, Helen Beckelman, David Allen Gaiman, Wendy Wallach Levy, Ronald Nasilo, Tim Orrick, Louis Palm, Michael Rabin, Eric Rotenberg, Denise Rutenberg, Robert Sasner, Shmaria Zichri ben Zissel Chana v'Harav Ilan David, and Lawrence Vogel. We also remember Pearl Atlas, Edith Brightman, Fanny Dasky, Frances Ehrenberg, Rose Foyer, Dr. Irving Greenfield, Jim Greenwald, Lita Hannon, Frank Karsh, Charles Katz, Janet Katz, Pearl B. Lansky, Virginia Vicky McGraw, Morris Nathan, Lila Phillips, Lee Polanski, Michael Schulman, Betty Stein, Aaron Weston. We honor the memories of those of our people who perished in the Shoah, countless others whose names are unknown, for whom there is no one to recite their Kaddish. Are there other names anyone would wish to add to this list? Please.
Sally Teltner.
Edith Lerner.
Please. Zichronam livracha, may their memories truly be a source of blessing. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294 or 598. 294 or 598. Our tradition is that we rise in sympathy with those who mourn and together recite words hallowed by centuries of faith. Yid Gadal v'Yid Kadash Shmei Rabbah v'Yalma Divrach Yirutei v'Yamlich Malchutei v'Chayechon v'Yomechon uv'Chayech Chol Beit Yisrael Ba'galav V'Zman Kariv V'Imru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Olol Me'ol Maya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpo'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shmei Kudsha Barechu La'elam Yin Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechamata Da'amiran V'Yalma V'Imru Amen Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shamayim V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen Oseh Shalom B'Brama Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Al Kol B'nei Adam V'Imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to those amongst us who mourn. May God, in answer to our prayers, bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity, to which we say, Amen. Please be seated. Allow me to thank those who participated and assisted in the worship this evening, either musically, technically, those who were the Shomrim and were helping us this evening. After we conclude, join us for Oneg Shabbat. On the side, we'll chant Kiddush, say a Motzi. The Oneg is sponsored by the Vishners in memory of the grandson.
Today was the first year site completion of it.
And so Adon Olam is 321 or 6:25, and it's a stretch, but since it is the time of, in Jewish tradition, when we talk about the Song of the Sea, we figured we should do Adon Olam as a sea chanty. It's a stretch. It is a stretch, but you'll follow along, and please join in singing.
Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'nasa V'chitzo Kol Hazamel Shemo Nivra V'yacharei Yitlot HaKol Levado Yimlot Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hove V'hu Yeh V'tifara Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'nasa V'chitzo Kol Hazamel Shemo Nivra Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'nasa V'chitzo Kol Hazamel Shemo Nivra Adonai li velo ira Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'nasa V'chitzo Kol Hazamel Shemo Nivra
Olam that most of us sing is an old German drinking song, okay? You know, dum, 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 dum. That's really where it comes from. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat.